Welcome back. I'm still with the Honorable Member for Ketu North, Eric Edem Agbana. He made a statement on the floor of Parliament this week, raising issues about the rent regime in Ghana in terms of costs on the average Ghanaian and the many challenges that are confronting the Ghanaian in terms of getting proper accommodation. Affordable housing is an issue, and all the issues around it. He raised it on the floor of Parliament. I will engage him on that and get the details of his statement. Honorable, every single Ghanaian is one way or the other affected by it. But on a personal level, how did you find it a reason to bring it to the legislative house of?
I believe that politically and geographically, I am representing the people of Ketu North. They brought me here. But as a young person, I am also representing the youth of this country in Parliament. Now, when you check our standing orders, Order 95 gives us the opportunity as members of Parliament to make statements on the floor of the House to draw the attention of all stakeholders to pressing needs or issues that we believe demands attention. And so it is one of the tools available to us as members of Parliament. I realized that rent and the rent regime is a major source of frustration for young people and the generality of the Ghanaian people. So I decided to activate the power given me in these standing orders and draw the attention of the House and by extension the attention of government to this issue. Then I went on my social media platform to run a quick survey.
I did see that.
And majority of young people chose this issue as one of the issues that they want dealt with. And so my team and I decided to prepare the statement and we delivered it yesterday. I believe that the reception and the commentary on the statement is an indication that indeed it's an important national issue that must be attended to. I think that for me is also a motivation to keep fighting. Like I said yesterday, reading the statement on the floor of the House will not be the only action that Eric Edem Agbana will take on this rent issue. I intend to formally petition the relevant bodies, and the Ministry of Works and Housing has been directed by Speaker in his commentary on my statement to submit the draft bill for us to work on a new bill. A bill that seeks to amend how the rent regime is regulated in this country. And so I'll follow through to ensure that all these actions are taken.
We'll delve into the possible resolutions around this challenge on how to address them head on. But first of all, let's look at the specifics of the challenges when it comes to the rent issue. You have obviously done your research. You have maybe lived through some of these experiences. So share with us some of these challenges.
Number one is the exorbitant rent charges. Today, if you're looking for a single room as a young national service or as a student or a young graduate, you are likely to pay between 1,500, on the average 1,500 Ghana cedis, when your national service allowance is just 715 Ghana cedis.
Which will be for a month.
For a month. And you pay 1,500 a month. And so it means that you need double or more than double your allowance to even pay for rent. What happens to feeding? What happens to transportation? And so the rent regime here is very problematic because of the exorbitant charges within the sector. Number two is the fact that rent laws are abused. As for Act 220, the Rent Act 1963, Act 220, it is virtually non-existent any longer, because in that act it is stipulated that property owners or landlords must not charge beyond 6 months. But today, how many people are ready to rent their properties for you to pay 6 months or less? Everybody is looking for 1 year, 2 years, and in some instances even 5 years. To get a 1 year rent advance, which is even a clear violation of the law, is virtually not in existence. And we must have the system doing something about it. We have to do something about it, because this rent advance of 1 year, 2 years, how are you able to pay 1,500 a month for 36 months, which is 3 years, 24 months, which is 2 years? So you are paying, if you are doing 2 years, you are paying about 36,000 Ghana cedis. Where will the average Ghanaian like myself, like young graduates, where would they get the money to pay for that? It is really difficult to afford that. So that also must be worked on. Number 3 is that there's virtually no regulations for the sector, even when there are disputes. So today, a landlord can walk into your property and say, I don't feel like renting it out any longer. I'm giving you a couple of days to pack out. And these disputes between tenants and landlords, because of the imbalance, the power imbalance, we are not able to do anything else. So these are just a few of the challenges that I outlined in my statement. I moved further to diagnose the problem and made some key policy propositions. I believe that when all the stakeholders act, we can see some changes to the rent regime in Ghana.
We'll talk of the solutions, but let's look at what is even likely to be one of the solutions. Affordable housing. Within the context of what it actually means and the realities we live in this country, affordable housing must have lost its relevance some decades or probably a century ago.
Yeah, I mean, government affordable housing, I have my own challenges with it, because sometimes you approach some of these properties and what they describe as affordable, it's again way beyond what the average Ghanaian can afford. And so the question even is, who determines what is affordable? So you have the same rich people having access to those properties because they can afford it. Besides that, we have a housing deficit of over 2 million housing units. 2 million housing units. So we are in deficit of over 2 million units of housing. There's no way a country can pretend to love its citizens and care about social progress when you have this huge deficit in your housing sector. Something must be done about it. Government must come in, partner with the private agencies. Let's build some affordable housing. Let's also provide some support to private developers who are working within that space. But what you should do is that after you provide this support, especially the conducive environment for the private sector, you still must regulate how they charge, and you must provide a framework within which they conduct their business.
You mentioned affordable housing and the deficit being around 2 million. Yesterday, the former Minister for Housing sought to do what maybe would be termed as correction. He says it is around 1.2 million based on the work the previous government has done.
You can't tell me that in the 8 years. So I don't like to have a banter on figures. My research, my findings tells me we have a housing unit of about 2 million. He is claiming that they've done some work which reduced the numbers to 1.2. We are all in this country, we can't find evidence of same. But for me, these are even trivial issues. The main issue is that, do we have a housing deficit? Yes, we do. Is it significant enough to warrant some emergency response from government? Yes, it does. And so that is where the focus should be. As for the figures, different websites, different institutions will give you different figures. But our focus is that rent regime in this country needs a paradigm shift. There must be some radical approach to doing this. So we've started a conversation in Parliament, and I'm happy that even the former minister, who belongs to the other party, also expressed support for the statement and is willing to lend himself to any process aimed at addressing the issues that we face in the system. So for me, our focus should be on providing the solutions.
In the general aspect of things, maybe we are looking at it wrong. Because when we talk of affordable housing, the last time I remember government doing anything affordable housing, it's being done in urban areas. We are talking of Accra, these regional areas and all that. But if we are to look at it at people within Ketu North, and even if we are to look at the cost, providing some of these affordable housing in an area like Ketu North will be less in terms of cost than even concentrating on Accra and all the, even though population.
So I agree with you. I agree with you too. It's a conversation we are having. I agree with you, and I'm happy to learn even from you because you are on the field. You speak to people as a media person. I agree with you. But the focus of government sometimes is driven by the statistics, by the numbers. Because it is in the urban centers, Accra, Ho, Kumasi, Takoradi, these are the places that you are most likely confronted with the problem of housing. Because in some of the rural areas, a teacher is posted there, doesn't have good accommodation, but you are sure to find a family saying that, oh, this room is reserved for my uncle. He lives in Accra, so you can be managing it. When he comes for a funeral or something, then we'll see what we do. But the problem is more in the urban centers, in the cities. Maybe that is why government seems to be focusing on building in these areas. But it's a national issue. And all of us must be involved in finding a solution to it. And I'm pleading with you that help me as we advocate for the solution. I will be glad if in a couple of weeks you go back or come back to the house or go to the ministry and find out this directive given by the speaker, has it been followed through? So that together we can address it. But I'm confident that President Mahama made some specific promises that I believe when fulfilled will change the dynamics of the housing problems that we have confronted with. He spoke about standardization of rent, spoke about changing the rent department and resourcing it for it to become a national rent authority. Spoke about a national rental assistance scheme and some others. All these things I believe President Mahama will do. I have so much confidence in President Mahama, and when I say it because I have been privileged to have very personal and a professional working relationship with him. And he cares so much about young people, and I can tell you that issues of rent is very, very dear to his heart. And I believe in a not too distant future, he will begin to roll out some of his policies and plans in this regard. And so we are serving as the advocates. We are reminding government to prioritize rent issues and make it a national issue. I will be glad at the first budget that will be presented, there should be aspects of the budget that speaks to these issues, because these are critical national security issues. And we are pleading with the government to step in. And I am confident that President Mahama and the sector minister, the Honorable Kennedy, fine gentlemen, they will do their best to see us address these problems.
As a legislature, you bring some of these issues to fore, and your very first statement has brought such an important issue to the attention of the House. What should Ghanaians, what should the people of Ketu North expect from Eric Edem Agbana 1 month down the line, a whole 3 years and probably 11 months to go?
Well, when I was campaigning, I sold myself to them. I told them what I wanted to do for them. And just to remind you, this is what I call a jogbe. It's my manifesto for the good people of Ketu North. And when you walk into my office, the very first picture frame you see is the picture of President Mahama, the leader of this nation. Next to his picture is the map of Ketu North. So where I see it, anytime I sit in the office, I am reminded that I have my people waiting for me to fulfill these promises. And then behind me, you see this manifesto. I read it religiously because I'm already trying to look at which of the promises have I fulfilled. My team, I call them. We need to start working towards this policy. By June, this must begin. By April, this must start. Let's finish this by this time. And so, I am confident I will perform because I keep reminding myself every day that my being here is not for myself, but it's for my people. They sent me here because they believe that my promises contained in this manifesto, I am capable of fulfilling them. So I must not fail them. And I look at this big map right here every day to serve as a reminder that Eric Edem Agbana, the power does not belong to you. It belongs to these people. I am confident and I pray that God, the lifter of men, will equip me with wisdom, with the right spirit of humility, spirit of selfless service, and with the ability to fulfill all my promises to the people of Ketu North. After that, if they find me worthy enough to continue serving them, I will. But my focus now is how to deliver and ensure that every community in this map feels the impact of my leadership.
Finally, to wrap all of this up, your party, the National Democratic Congress, won a very convincing victory in the 2024 general elections. The New Patriotic Party, which you kicked out, has diagnosed the elections beyond the sentiments of Ghanaians and attributed it a lot to voter apathy. They are currently on a reorganization drive, and you have just started your government. How confident are you that your government will, 4 years down the line, when we sit to assess your performance, you will gain another mandate?
Well, I think that the mandate is given by the good people of Ghana. They have their metrics. There are things they are watching or looking out for. But I can tell you that the kind of misgovernance that we saw under President Akufo-Addo, I do not envisage anything close from any other government ever in our republic. And if you want to see the success of an administration, pay key attention to the men and women forming the cabinet the men and women being appointed to head the institutions. Look, I sit in my office. I go through the list of people being appointed. My research team is conducting some background check on each and every one of them. Some of them, their age, their contributions, their philosophies, and all of that. And I can tell you that President Mahama is set to succeed. He will be one of the most, if not the most successful president ever.
Talking about appointment, President Akufo-Addo had a number 5 exceeding what President Mahama has.
President Mahama promised 60.
Was efficiency. Do you think you can
did you see efficiency? Did you see efficiency? When we had 126, we saw the kind of governance that they delivered. I don't want us to even talk about the MPP any longer. But with the 60 President Mahama promised, and all those 60 individuals that he has appointed 56 so far, I am confident, my brother, that the people he has appointed so far shows his readiness and demonstrates his capacity. And I can tell you that they will deliver. Look at the state institutions, the young men and women being appointed, the zeal and zest that they are taking into the office. I believe that it is a new dawn for this republic of ours. And President Mahama, by his appointment, has demonstrated that he is ready to lead Ghana to greater heights. And that is what we are expecting. Efficiency, the 60 will deliver. And it's not just about the number of ministers. If you go to the presidency, at a point in time, government was scared to even account for their presidential staffers because the list was so huge that they were afraid of the backlash. But here we are today. Presidency has indicated that they will cut down on the numbers. Look at the Independence Day celebrations. The last one in Ho, 15 million plus Ghana cedis. Do you know how many boreholes that can drill? How many schools it can build? President Mahama says, this march is important. Let's mark it in a very momentous and memorable manner. But let's do it by cutting down on the cost. So things that are there's this much
populist as some critics
populist
will argue.
What is populist about it? But in any case, assuming without admitting that it's populist, will it save the country cost? Yes. Will it prove that we are efficient? Yes. Is it a prudent decision? Yes. Because you see, and beyond, people are only looking at what is spent at the presidency. Even at the district assembly levels, they were copying what was happening, the luxurious lifestyle of the presidency. They were also spending so much on Independence Day celebrations. But this year, President Mahama said, let's do it at the Jubilee House. Few groups, and we will still mark our independence. Spend less, achieve the same results. That is the efficiency we are talking about. That is the prudent management that we're talking about. And I believe that President Mahama has demonstrated that he's a man of his words. I am happy with his decision so far. And 30 days in office, he has been an excellent president so far.
Thank you. This has been conversation from the Parliament of Ghana with the Member of Parliament for Ketu North, Eric Edem Agbana. My name is George AC, and until we meet with our next conversation from Parliament, stick and stay with Ghana's most visited news website, www.ghanaweb.com, and on our YouTube, GhanaWeb TV. See you.